What's up, guys? Welcome back, I-90 Sports Nation. Welcome back, Bears fans. Welcome back, Patriot fans, and everybody in between, from Boston to Chicago and back, to episode 10. Banging them out, man.
Banging them out fast.
Now,
absolutely.
Wow.
I want to just let's just jump right into this, man. So the Bears and the Browns played. I had a feeling that Browns defense is good.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, if Justin Fields had played, if the Bears put up a good game against the Browns defense and the front seven, and it was a competitive game, I think that would have said a lot about Fields and the ceiling. But watching that game and just seeing the out, I will give Justin Fields this. He didn't quit.
No.
From pillar to post, from first to last whistle, the kid never quit. He was still trying, giving 110% all the way through. So I feel bad for him. JD, I'm going to let you I'll let you take it away, man. Just give me your initial, your thoughts on the game. And before I even ask you any questions, I just want to hear from you, man. What do you think?
I have a lot to say. I have a lot to say about that game. That was quite the game. Let's just start from the beginning. Let's start from the very beginning. All right. So the first quarter, I'll just break it down bit by bit by bit. So the very first quarter, first drive of the game. By the way, actually, let's start with this. Actually, the defense. My God, what a performance by the Bears defense. My God, that was unbelievable. That should have been 60 to 2. That should have been, or 60 to 3. It should have been 60 to 3. Unbelievable defense. It was ridiculous. Roquan Smith, you talk about never giving up. Roquan Smith was a beast the entire game. So he was the only reason why it was low as it was only in the 20s. Keep in mind, for the Browns, had the ball 80% of the time, pretty much. It was 70s to 80% of the time. It was unbelievable amount of time of possession. And they only got 20-something points. So unbelievable job by this defense. They were gassed in the fourth. Just ridiculous. But let's talk about the first drive. The first drive was actually pretty good with Justin Fields. There was a lot of runs. There was a commitment to David Montgomery. David Montgomery looked like, okay, this looks like old Bears, hike, give the ball to the running back, everybody block. And that was good. It was good to see. We got to, I think, the 38. He threw a nice pass to the – it might have been a different drive. Either way, we got to the 38, kicked a field goal, up 3 points. It was a nice start. Mm-hmm. Justin Fields got some confidence. And then you just see on Twitter, I remember I was doing a reaction for a little while before it got ugly. And the reaction on Twitter was just so telling of how impatient Chicago fans are. I don't know who's worse, us or Philly fans. We are just terrible. They're just throw it down the field. Okay, and I don't know if Matt Nagy heard them, but he felt the exact same way. So he's all right, screw the running game. I'm done with that. I'm done with the running game. Full commitment to Justin Fields throwing it to 30, 40 yards every single time. He dropped back. It was literally both sides just sandwiched him every single time. It was the most ridiculous. We talked about it in every podcast so far. The exterior Chicago Bears line, I'm gonna list these guys off because they're all bad. Because they mixed, they threw them all in. They all suck. Oh my God. James Daniels, you are terrible. I've said this for a while now. I don't remember how many years. Tevin Jenkins, you suck. Elijah Wilkinson, you suck. Jermaine Aphrodite, get better. You might be good someday, but right now you're kind of bad. Scrap those guys potentially. Cody Whitehair, he's always been pretty good, but he's always been a B, whatever. Sam Mustafar, I can't tell if you suck because everybody else on the outside was so bad that I just can't tell. Matt Nagy sucks because he keeps trying to make Justin Fields. Okay, this is my assessment of Justin Fields. I'm done talking about the offensive line. I'm not even going to talk about it. Everyone knows how bad they were. Unbelievably bad. This is what I was going to say about Justin Fields, and I'll give it to you guys. Justin Fields, we understand why Matt Nagy wanted to put Andy Dalton in, because Justin Fields, his initial decision-making is a little bit slow. Maybe that's why scouts were like, I don't know. So, like, when he gets that drop back pass, he gets first read, second read, third read, and he can't choose sometimes between those two. And that, you know what? That's something you could fix. A lot of guys had that problem when they first entered. That's a very fixable problem. Like, I think Goff had that. What was that?
Well, the one thing I saw, I don't even think he was able to get to a read and a half. Like,
exactly.
I'm looking in the backfield. It was the same thing I saw with Mac Jones. And I'm just seeing defenders 1,000 and a half defender in the backfield. And then no matter how good your quarterback is, if they keep getting hit and they keep seeing guys come around their back end, they're going to be gun shy. They're going to be gun shy. They're going to go for the easy passes, and then you stop gaining yardage. You know.
Well, I think another major factor is this is his first game starting. So the obviously the decision making in the this is his first real like welcome to the NFL kid moment. You know what I mean? Like this is game speed. This is game speed.
0% of the blame.
Yeah. No, it's definitely tough to blame Fields for a lot because it like imagine just being dumped on you and like get used to the game speed, kid, because here it comes.
No time.
And not only that, you got to face a front like the Browns have. That's not like the Jets front seven. It's it's a formidable
Clowney
front.
And Garrett. You have like 8 people.
Yeah, why do you think Washington's been so successful this year? I said from the beginning they are going to be a dark horse because they got that defensive line that can set up the offense to be successful. If you keep getting rushed from all sides, your quarterback is just going to keep losing confidence throughout the rest of the game.
No, it's no question about it. And here's the thing. Now, you know what? Nagy was. Here's the thing. I'll say it right now. I was wrong. All the Bears fans are wrong. I do think Nagy's approaching this wrong. I didn't see any bootlegs. I didn't see any rollouts. I didn't see any things to protect the quarterback. So you have a shitty O-line, but you don't want to protect him. So that Nagy's going to take a giant L on. But what he won't take an L on is he could say, I told you so, that Fields wasn't ready. He could say that. He could say, all right, guys, he wasn't ready with the decision-making. Because here's the thing. If Foles was in, he would have got his ass kicked still, but it would probably have been like 16 to, you know what I mean? We probably would have got a few more like hike, throw, because that was Fields' problem. Hike, he had a few moments where he could have thrown, he just could not make a decision. But like you said, at least half of the time it was just hike dead. Like that's like you said, you're going to lose confidence. You're going to be scared to hike the ball at that point. So that's all I really have to say about it.
That's why I don't put like a lot of this blame, if any, on Fields, because you threw him in against a front seven like Cleveland's for his first game, and it's basically that. Let's be a lot of these rookie quarterbacks. Like it's a trial by they get thrown into. They have that trial by fire moment, and it's not exactly easy on them. You know, it's not exactly an easy moment. I mean, that transition into the NFL usually is timed and prepared to where they're facing some team that's not a second level playoff team like the Browns are. You know what I mean? Like it.
AFC title contenders. Yeah, exactly.
That's what I mean. You're not facing a second level playoff team like the Browns. Like this was not.
Next week we have the Lions.
Me and you, JD, have said this before. And Ross, we know from watching the Patriot game, if your O-line is not up, if you have a bad O-line and a nervous quarterback and a rookie quarterback, that is a recipe for disaster.
It was the worst O-line game since 2005. I think somebody said statistically in some measurements.
This is the only reason I give Justin Fields a pass on this, because number one, your play calling wasn't exactly slated to his strengths, number one. Number two is we had a situation where you have a rookie quarterback put into a situation you didn't want to put him in. This is why that the Red Rocket was in town for you. He was there to play those tough games, and then we're going to put Justin Fields in for those good games that's going to give him confidence going into the 2022 season. What happened when he got injured, all those plans went up in smoke. You know, it's like a mirror to what happened in New England. I mean, Cam Newton was supposed to stick around for those tough games. But once Mac won the job, it was going to be a dual quarterback situation. And now with Cam being gone, all we have in the backup is Brian Hoyer. Like we're both in kind of that tough situation where we don't have much of a choice. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah, no doubt. So I kind of want to feed you. I want to feed you guys some questions and just get your opinions and thoughts on them. So we already talked about one of them, that Justin Fields as the QB1, and the thoughts on him. And I think we can all agree that the potential's there. I think there is potential to work with there. You just got to put him in a position to succeed.
There was this one throw. It was towards the end of the game. I don't remember exactly the time, but it was dropped. I think it might have been Mooney, or it could have been, I don't remember who it was. Either way, there was double coverage. Guys right in front of him. Fields threw it like right into this needle, and I was like, dude, that was one of the most accurate throws. Like that was like
threaded the needle, right?
Whew. I was like, dude, if you can just do that every week, this O-line eventually it'll get better someday. You know what? If we spend the next 3 seasons just investing in just every draft pick, offensive line and cornerback, I don't even care, man, anymore, because we have everything else. Great. What do you call it? Linebackers.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll let you get back to your questions, but man, this game, I have too many things to say.
All right. So the next question, or next kind of topic I want to hit on, JD, the Bears, if they want Justin Fields to be successful, they have to stick with the run. They cannot abandon it. They have to stick with David Montgomery. That has to be.
I agree.
I don't want to say run first, but they have to be a balanced offense.
Jason Peters is like terrible at pass blocking, but he could potentially be good at run blocking. I mean, they did have something going early on, so I agree with you 100%.
That's just to me the best case scenario for them is they have the run game will open things up for Fields and make the Fields, it'll spread the field out a little bit for him and not make it so condensed and hard to read, because when you run it and you're running it good, that's going to creep those linebackers up, and it's going to give Justin Fields some more bigger windows to throw in, so he doesn't always have to thread the needle to every receiver. He can, he can drop some of these. He can drop some of these touch passes into some of these guys. Hit some of these guys in stride and let them do their thing. Let them do their thing, because he can be an accurate thrower. So to me, I think my first point would be that they can't abandon the run.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I agree, and also I would to add to that, I would say now. It's Fields. We're all in, dude. It's Fields to the moon. Like, that's it. Like, there's no going back now. There's no going to Nick Foles. We know what he is now. We know what his weaknesses are and his strengths. Just let him develop now. Just let him. We're going to lose, okay? Hey, we might only win 5 games this season. Okay. All right. We might not win next week against the Lions. I'm willing to swallow that pill because Fields is going to grow from this. And he's going to learn. So I'm okay with all of that. And also, if we fire Matt, you know what this is? I'm willing to say it now. Matt Nagy is officially, not only is he on the hot seat, that seat is cooking. It's cooking now. You better cool it off real fast, because you better figure out a way to mask your horrible offensive line. Also, you know who else is on the hot seat? Ryan Pace has got to be on the hot seat. You've had this bad offensive line problem since before Trubisky. What's weird is
or at least if I had to put a year on it, JD, I think at least 4 years you guys have not had a good O-line.
Since Kyle Long got hurt, the line has gotten worse every year. Every year it's gotten worse. It was good one year.
Yeah, here's my complaint at the draft. If you take a number 1 QB, you grab linemen in the rest of the draft. If you've been struggling, you set them up for success, and then you start getting comfortable with that fresh new O-line, start making those acquisitions, and support that franchise quarterback that you just picked up. And they don't seem to think long into the future, which bugs me, because the Bears are falling into that Cincinnati problem where they'll always get a great quarterback, but it's like the joke of the NFL, like the Jets.
Look at what the Giants are going through, Ross. They picked their quarterback at the 6th overall pick and never protected him with the O-line.
Thank you.
I have a scolding hot take, and I don't know if I want to get for it. Yeah, why don't we finish other things? But I need to.
All right,
share this.
so let's stick with the offense. All right.
Yeah.
So I want to feed you another. I want to get your thoughts on another topic here, JD. The second, probably most important thing for me is once again your center played very well, but the tackle positions for you. I mean, it seemed like every time Fields was getting hit, it was from around it was either from the tackle or around the end.
Every time,
everything came off the edge, and the Bears could not stop it. Even when they chipped, even when they left a tight end to chip and then go out on a road, it still didn't matter. Like that's a big issue, because if that throws a quarterback's timing off, and especially for Fields, like the NFL is based on timing, man. It's you got to hit you got to hit. Sometimes you got to throw to a spot, and it's got to be a timing spot. And if Fields isn't getting the time, it's not going to be good for him. Those tackles have got to step up.
You know what last week was? It was a giant horn yelling to the NFL, "Hey everyone, this is our weakness. Attack it every single week the rest of the year." And where they're going to, it's going to be edges.
Yeah. They're announcing their problems to everyone.
Jason Peters.
Cleveland just gave the rest of the NFL a game plan to beat Justin Fields. That's what happened here, and it's very similar to what happened to Tampa this weekend, with the Cowboys showed a schematic on how to beat Tom Brady. Rush him, make him question his throws. And again, even with Tom Brady struggling, he still scored 24 points. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking that off the board. But here's the thing. To beat good teams, and you could be potentially a good team, the problem is that everyone knows what your weakness is. And until they address that, you're going to struggle.
You know who's the first person to show that weakness? Michael Strahan.
Yes, it was. Actually. Again, but no quarterback is going to be successful with just constantly getting hit.
It's impossible.
Tom Brady doesn't even like getting hit.
I would like to give a compliment out to David Montgomery, though.
Oh, yeah.
His blitz protection pickup was phenomenal in that game.
Yep.
I counted three times where he hit a blitzing linebacker and gave Fields an extra half second to either try and make something happen or at least get rid of it and not get killed.
He's better than Peters. Better blocker than Peters.
May I touch upon one of John Larson's comments in the chat? He's at let's see, John Larson for 4:13 p.m. Okay, can we touch on that really quickly? Okay, let's be frank, guys. The last two seasons, and I'm going to keep it real short. These have been two rebuild seasons. Let's be honest. We have no chemistry just yet. We have a brand new quarterback, and we lost Cam Newton, our backup quarterback, to whatever reason. So right now, we have to understand Tom Brady's going to come here and beat us. Let's just be honest. They're a stacked team with chemistry.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about that.
With time under their belt. Let's give the kid time to develop and his team to develop along this rebuild. This is not going to be a fun season. We're going to go into more detail on it, but let's not completely down Bill Belichick and everything else, because we do not have the talent these other teams in the NFL have. Let's keep the faith going into 2022.
All right, JD. So let's. I 100% agree, Russ. I agree absolutely. Let's swap over to defense now on the defensive side of the football, and
please.
Initially, so you I want to get your initial thoughts on the D. And you had said at the beginning that you thought they played very, very well.
Yes. Oh, yes. The defense, they played amazing. They really did. I mean, my gosh, every time Odell Beckham caught a pass, it was just like with 2 or 3 people on him, and or the guy like was just in his grill, like about to choke him. It was just like it was all. I loved it. No, the secondary has clearly, like, week 2 and week 3, week 1 secondary, they literally just like put in a ball and threw it in the trash. They look totally different now. They're swarming. They look great. These guys are great receivers. Peoples Jones and Odell Beckham Jr.'s good. Peoples Jones is good, and Odell Beckham Jr. is one of the best receivers in the league, obviously. And then you got what's his name, the tight end Joku. Yeah,
David Njoku.
And Jackson was great. He was in his grill. Roquan Smith was amazing. The only guy who got Roquan Smith, and you could tell he got him a few times, was Hunt, Kareem Hunt. Oh, he had a game, man. He had a game. But besides that guy, and here's the thing though, he got him the first like 3 quarters, but then eventually you just keep attacking. The time of possession the Browns had was just unbelievable.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
And then a quick
Can
thing.
I ask you something? What about the Mario Edwards return, JD? How about that? What did that mean to the defense?
I mean, it was great. I mean, it was just wait, Mario Edwards return. Am I thinking of something else? Oh yeah. The defensive end. I forgot his name.
Your DN.
Yeah, no, that was amazing because it was you put pressure and like it's just one of those things. Like you gave him better field positions. It's unfortunate we don't do anything with it. That's the thing. It's like I think was it the one where we got a field goal? I don't even remember. We had like 8 3-and-outs. It was just terrible. So I don't remember which one was the field goal. That might have been where we got the field goal, but obviously we couldn't capitalize on it. It's just unfortunate that the defense played such a great game. I mean, honestly, if we would have scored just even one more touchdown, that would have kept them off the field long enough. It would have been like a completely different game. It would have been like 13-16 at that point.
Very good point. Yep.
Yeah.
Now let me say this too. The league average for points across the league is 24 points, and the Browns only scored 26. So just to put it into perspective,
with all that
the league average across the NFL, the average is 24 points per game. So, I mean, to me, from what I saw, that Chicago defense held the Browns down as much as they could for as long as they could. The levees just broke in the fourth quarter, and they had nothing left.
Tired. You're exhausted.
Can I add on to that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry.
Go for it, Ross.
Okay, so me and you, Bobby, the one thing we tend to harp on a lot is time of possession. Time of possession. So the problem is the longer your defense is on the field, the quicker they get gassed out. We can use a number of examples, but we're not going to take 20 minutes on this topic. But when your team gets half the time of possession of any other team, you're not going to do much. You had 20 minutes of offense versus 40 minutes of offense by the Cleveland Browns. And then last but not least, even then, the Cleveland Browns had 98 yards worth of penalties. You couldn't capitalize on that. Sacks allowed 5, 2 punts. I mean, it's like 9 versus 5 sacks. That's a big thing. You can't leave your defense on the field that long. You're going to turn into the Falcons of yesteryear in the Super Bowl. You can't do it because once you get to that point, they're missing spots on routes. They're letting guys like Kamara, like for us, our example, getting open. And then all of a sudden you see Baker Mayfield playing one of his best games of the season because your whole defense is gassed. You can't do it.
He looked like crap for the first couple quarters. Baker did, and then once they got tired, he was just like, "Oh, hey, wide open guys." So exactly, that's exactly what happened. And I have a scolding hot take as it pertains to the defense, and I'll get to. It's real quick.
Go for it, brother. We're winding it down. Go for it.
Khalil Mack, this is my last Bears thing. When Khalil Mack went down, he was hurt for about 12 plays, maybe less, maybe 9 plays. I don't remember. He was hurt. He went to the tent, went to the locker room. I think they taped him up, and I gave him something for his pain, and he was back on the field shortly after. But during that time, there was zero problems on the field. I love Khalil Mack. He's a great pass rusher and everything like that. But right now, I would trade him for a top 5 offensive lineman. I would trade him and a first-round pick. I would trade because we need that so bad. We need an offensive tackle so bad. Anyway, that's my take. Is I would trade Khalil Mack because Roquan Smith, he's got that middle of the field, man. He doesn't need Mack.
I'll give you this about Roquan Smith that I underestimated, and I think I said this before on a previous podcast we did, JD. He's quick. He's really quick.
One of the fastest in the league. So fast. He's great in coverage and he's great in the run game. He's amazing. One of the best.
He's the one of the things that you really want to see in a linebacker is lateral movement. How fast can he get down the line from how fast can he go sideline to sideline and chase a guy? You know what I'm talking about? That lateral movement from linebackers is a serious underestimated skill set that they have. And he can fly from sideline to sideline.
That's a great thing to see. He's the true replacement to this guy because that's what he would do. Mack is not that replacement. He's a pass rusher, and he's a great pass rusher. But I would trade him for if we could get like a David Bakhtiari, which we never could. Not Trent Williams, he's too old. But maybe one of these tackles from the Saints. They have a couple good ones. I'm just saying I would trade for them if we could, or otherwise, like you
and
said,
he would
like
be be worth a top 5 offensive lineman. He would be worth it.
I'd keep him too. I'm not I'm not saying do it, trade him, but I'm saying I would because you could see that's not our strength. Our strength is the coverage and Eddie Jackson and Roquan Smith.
The secondary, the pass
Eddie
coverage.
Jackson, I don't know what he was doing week 1. He's better now. He was
sometimes they just have bad games. Sometimes you just catch players and have a bad game.
Right. Yeah, that's most of what he says. He's been better. Yeah.
Ross.
Yep.
I'll start with you, brother. Let's dive into the Patriots and the Saints because I think me and you both got a lot to say, and we got a lot of stuff to just get off our freaking chest.
Okay,
about,
I think
about this game. So, what were your initial thoughts? Like after the game ended, what was your first thought?
Okay, so let me give you the best point I've seen from the chat that's going to personify what we're complaining about. Go to Can't Get Right at 4:25 p.m. All right.
Right there.
Thank you. Can't Get Right. Thank you. Okay. Me and Bobby have been screaming about this since the preseason. Okay. When your play calling is so predictable, so basic, and just ineffective, there's no reason a team can't capitalize on you. I'm sorry. We almost 0% at one point in the red zone. What are we now, Bobby? Like 20%?
We listen. So JD and Rock going into this game, the Patriots were 0% in the red zone. 0%. No red zone touchdowns. 0. None.
Man, I can't even believe that.
Yeah,
that's unreal.
So, my problem is that McDaniels has not shown that he is an NFL level coordinator in the last 3 games, and in my opinion, not even in the preseason. We have talent we've spent millions of dollars on that we're not using. Can't Get Right made that point, and then other gentlemen throughout the chat, John Larson, Josh is overrated. Josh has been shown to be lacking when he doesn't have a quarterback on the field that can command the offense for him. Let's put it out there. Who runs the ball twice in a row, same play in the red zone, and expect a different result? 0 yards and then -7 yards. We're having negative yardage in the red zone. There is no excuse. There is none. I know, Bobby, you want to touch on this a little bit, but that's my point for that point right there.
Well, I think not only us, but a lot of Pats Nation has been pointing out the fact that there have been head-scratching plays from Josh McDaniels all over the field and all over the game, all throughout the game. The play calling in the red zone has been bad. Like the 2 runs with Bolden were a microcosm of McDaniels' play calling. And then so he'll do those 2 runs to Bolden, and then he'll throw some really low percentage deep poster, some low percentage throw, or the most head scratching ones are a bubble screen on 3rd and 16. You know what I mean? Like a bubble screen on 3rd and 16.
Yeah, no doubt. That's, yep. I see that a lot, and it's that used to work for the Steelers back in 2008, but no.
Okay, so a lot of things we talk about generally is setting up plays. We set up our players for success. That's McDaniel's job. You set up the game plan. You create a way to allow your team to have the best chance for success. All right? I don't see him doing that. I don't see it. You know what I'm saying? I am not seeing a game plan that's formulated around the run. And then once the run opens things up, we go to the pass. We're not seeing outlets for Mac Jones in case of emergency. We're not seeing running backs who are our most talented players making it out to the flats and just making a play. This looks so basic. It looks like D3 college ball. I don't even think it's that creative. I'm sorry, but this was one of the worst called games I think I've seen in a long time by the Patriots. Just anybody go back and look at the film. Was anything set up based on play action, passes to the running backs, using the tight ends during the whole middle of the field was open. They had no respect for our receiving core. They had none. And you're going to tell me that you want to put blame on Belichick or the players? That game plan was terrible by Josh McDaniels. Thank you.
It was I don't think it's just me and you, Ross. I think it's a lot of Pat's Nation, and I kind of been looking on Twitter been looking on Twitter, been looking on some of the been looking on the Facebook groups, reading a couple, and I feel like a lot of Pat's Nation is seriously calling into question Josh McDaniels' ability to call a good game now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then can't get it right again. It's a training camp offense. This is not an NFL ready team. It does not look that way. There is a disconnect between play calling and players.
Let's be honest, right? What are a bubble screen on 3rd and 12? That's not. But let's be honest, right? That's not a high percentage. That's not a high percentage play to get that first. How about dragging a tight end across the middle of the field, or a cross route, with a tight end in it and a receiver, something to get those DBs to try and bang into each other and get a guy open. There's just the lack of creativity coming out of McDaniels has been a serious concern for not just the regular season. We've seen it all the way back into game two of the preseason. It was concerning, and it's not it's become a pattern now. Once something happens more than twice, it's a pattern.
Mm-hmm. And let's go to you, JD. Did you get a chance to watch the tape from YouTube, the quick highlights?
Yeah, I've been watching it actually up and down, and what I would say is that it's an outside perspective, but I would say that there's a high to respond to your take, actually, Ross, when you were talking about the receivers not commanding respect, without Tom Brady, I mean, the receivers barely commanded respect with Tom Brady. Let's be real. They barely commanded respect. I mean, you got Nelson Aguilar. He's an upgrade of what they used to have, what they had before, some random guy off that worked at Walmart. So, I get that, that's definitely an upgrade. And that's how Bill Belichick was. He's like, all right, well, I have Tom Brady, so I'm going to use a guy that works at Walmart. So that's just kind of what he does. But my other question, and and then I'll get into coaching really quick. But my other question would be: is these tight ends that you spend all this money on, are they as like maybe they're not as good as maybe they're not working out? Like, and that's my other thing.
No, I was waiting for you to say that. So here's the thing: when we have gone to our tight ends, okay, Hunter Henry, we'll use him as the first example. He has 5 receptions, 36 yards, 7.4 yards per catch. Okay, so let's put it that way. 2 of those, you got a first down.
Right.
They only targeted, and they only had on the day between Jono Smith and Hunter Henry, yet again, 6 receptions. They're
so
not
JD, to put that into perspective,
that's
right?
a game plan problem.
To put that into perspective, they are throwing. So they spent $87.5 million on the 2 tight ends, and in 3 games they have thrown to them combined in 3 games 13 times.
But they didn't want to commit any money to Tom Brady long term.
Well, they didn't have the money. There was no money left. He wanted an extra $40 billion when he had like $10 million. There was no shot. Tom Brady wanted that chance to leave.
It's just that fact alone that you spend almost $90 million on those 2 guys to act as a massive security blanket for your rookie quarterback. And they're throwing to him, and they're throwing to them combined 6 times a game. That's not good. That's not good enough.
It's not.
Hey, can you bring up cool genuine Phil's comment from 434?
What a great throw from Fields to 16 there.
Yep, and it's the last comment. It's the most recent.
Oof. What a bad interception.
Yeah, I can't deny that, Phil. The only problem I have with on the Juno front is the fact that by the time they started actually using Janu, like Mac Jones got hit like 5 to 6 times.
So that's going to be a perfect segue into the next thing, right?
Yep. Thank you.
That's going to be a perfect segue into what we're going to get into next, right? We're going to talk about Mac Jones and his day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've read a lot of articles. I've seen even a lot of the Patriots beat guys are saying it, that the All-22 came out for Mac Jones, and it was good. It was good. Everyone who watched the All-22, everyone who matters that watched the All-22 said that most of Mac Jones's decisions that day were good. And under pressure, he was great. Making the throws that he needed to under pressure, he was very good. The All-22 showed that this was not Mac Jones's fault. Now, me and Ross have kind of talked off camera, and I think, me personally, and this is just my general knowledge, my knowledge of the game, coaching it and playing it. I think Mac Jones had those 4 or 5 overthrows, because the offensive line, being as porous as it was, threw his timing off. You can't throw a deep ball if you have under 2 seconds for it, if you don't have 2 seconds for the deep route to develop. And I think he was having to throw those deep routes sooner than he wanted to. So basically, he has to launch a football down the field and guess where he thinks his receiver is going to be before he gets absolutely crushed.
And that's a good defense. It's a very good one of the best, probably top 5. So it's hard.
Well,
so Ross, would you care to elaborate on that?
So here's my problem. We couldn't establish the running game, which is one of our Achilles heels. I understand that. We have a very talented running back core. If you can't get him started in the running game, but they didn't use him in the passing game either. Like, let's take a look at these stats. Remember the biggest shocking stat we saw from the Patriots game? Mac Jones was our best rushing person.
He was the leading rusher. Mac Jones was the leading rusher in that game. That's a problem.
That's 28 yards. and he had 4.7
Huge.
yards per carry. 6 carries, 4.7 yard average. Okay, we go to Damian Harris, 2.3. We go to James White, 6.0 before he got pushed out of the game because a poorly called play put him on his back, and he had to get carted off the field. The problem is any designed run that was used in that game was not blocked correctly and was not set up correctly. I'm sorry, but when you saw a run come on field, you knew exactly what was happening. Oh, Damian Harris is on the field. They're going to run the football.
That worked with Tom Brady.
Yep. And we don't have Cam to show the option of the RPO and show any kind of creativity. So right now, we're running the most basic offense I think we've ever seen out of the Patriots. Cam Newton's offense at least showed dynamics. In this, it's just predictable. And I know Mac is a better down the field quarterback, but look at what's happening. Their line is porous. We couldn't establish the run. We couldn't set up pass protection. And then last but not least is anytime we tried to use the running backs off the edge, they couldn't set the edge. Like we couldn't run sweeps. It was all a passing game, and you see what the results are.
I feel it. No, with that, it's like you got a young quarterback who has some promise, but then when you have this kind of, I would say that McDaniels, he might need to recalibrate how he approaches this position. He's so used to Tom Brady, and then before that, what was it? Tim Tebow and Kyle Orton. I mean, these guys are a lot older. Like this is a younger guy. You gotta change it up.
Yeah. And here's another thing that's a glaring problem to me. If you look at our receiving section, okay, if you have some of the most talented running backs in the NFL, look at our two best running backs that didn't get used whatsoever. James White, 0 across the board. No receptions, no yards, no average, 0 touchdowns. Damian Harris, 2 receptions, -3 yards, negative 1.5 average. They're throwing to him in the flats and expecting him to make a play. That's what they did to him.
Like, yeah, where are the wheel routes and stuff in the middle of the field? You know,
please,
little.
There's just there's no like Jones is not getting any help from like anywhere, from his offensive line, from his coordinator, from anywhere. And I mean, let's be honest, a versatile back like James White, losing him to who knows how serious that injury is. We're still kind of waiting on the MRI. But if that's like serious, and he's gone for weeks on end, that's not good because that means we don't have a pass catching. That means we don't have a pass catching back.
But we
like
do.
A true a true third down back.
Yep.
Looks like the same injury as Andy Dalton.
Yep. And here's the other thing. Because we've not used them in the passing game whatsoever. Not at all. How are you going to establish a guy if he can pass in the backfield, take passes in the center of the field or in strafing routes as a running back if you don't run the plays? Look at the thing that killed us. You know, Kamara, he was like, again, they used him in the passing game. They used him. Let's take a look at Kamara. All right, Alvin Kamara, 3.7 yards per carry. But look at this. Kamara in passing yards, 3 reception, 29 yards, but he was averaging 9.7 yards every catch.
Yeah.
If you added that to all of our running backs and how talented our running back core was, it would have been a different ballgame.
Yeah, I mean, like 20 plus points on
use the weapons you paid for. My God, just use them.
You have to. You absolutely have to. Otherwise, you look foolish.
Otherwise, it's a waste. Why would you? So I went and did my own kind of calculations on this, right? So on the offense this year, they've spent over almost $103 million on the offense alone to bolster it up and give Mac Jones help and weapons to work with, right?
Yep.
$103 million. Does this offense look like we spent $103 million on it? Not even close.
But let's put one thing in perspective here. Everyone's mad about them scoring these touchdowns and whatever. We held Alvin Kamara to only 89 yards and 3.7 yards per carry for 24 carries.
So let's kind of segue into the defense on that note, right? Right. Yep. So offensive kind of major points are that the all 22 proved that Mac's still, the potential's still there. He's still a good solid quarterback, and he can perform. The all 22 did show that. And it also put into it glaringly showed that the O-line has a massive problem, and the bland play calling is hurting this team.
Mm-hmm. JD, what do you want to make a comment on this?
You want to add anything to that?
Sure. I would just say that they looked pretty good. I mean, this is a good team. I think that you're right, though. I think that they could be more creative. All 3 games, I feel like they were, like, as you said, you were there personally, and you thought it was bland, it was held back. That they should kind of just roll with it, man. Because here's the thing: what are they, 1-2 now? They're 1-2. It's not good. It's not good. You better start throwing it deep. You better start getting risky. And also, like you said, use your tight ends. You spent the money on them. Use them as much as possible. There's got to be plenty of plays where you can get them featured. And Mac Jones is accurate enough to get him involved. So I honestly, that boggles my mind why they haven't gotten them more involved. Like you just told me, they only have, what was it, 60 yards between
13 catches for the tight ends in 3 games.
What is that? Come on, you get at least 3 games. You can double that. You got to double those. You got to get those numbers up. You got to pump those numbers.
They should have that. They should have 13. They should have 13 catches
each
every game. Combined between the 2 of them every game.
No, I agree. I don't see why not.
Let's pull some things into perspective right now. We beat them in every statistical category other than rushing yards. Total yards, passing yards, and yards per play.
That's interesting.
The problem is we drove down the field on 4 separate occasions and came up with nothing. Nothing. There was 4 separate occasions that we should have scored a touchdown, and we did not. That's 28 points we left on the board. I think one time we actually did score, but that's not a good average. We're leaving points on the board every time. Look at this. We had 16 first downs. We had third down efficiency, which was atrocious, but we were 2 for 3 for fourth down efficiency. This is a team that doesn't know itself.
So what record would have you guys raise the white flag, like on Josh McDaniels or Belichick? How many years?
Not Bill. This isn't Bill. This is Josh. This is Josh. Not. I don't know if it's not wanting but it's Josh. This is the 3rd game in a row, JD, where more than 50% of the reason they lost can be put on Josh McDaniels.
Well, that's a big deal. And I mean, you could probably, Bill Belichick knows a lot of people. You could probably find somebody to replace Bill. Is that something you guys would consider? Like, if you were, let's say you're 6-5 in a couple of weeks, are you still wanting to get your pitchforks for Josh McDaniels, or you think that it's just kind of like it was a tough game?
I readjust. Go ahead, Russ. Go first.
You sure? I was going to let you hit first.
Go ahead.
Here's the problem. Josh McDaniels has shown through 2 seasons now, that he can't adapt to this NFL. Now, don't get me wrong. This is a new young quarterback. He's going to make mistakes. But there's nothing I've seen on field that McDaniels has put his team in a position to win. I'm sorry. I understand you're nervous about your team. They're banged up. You're putting bubble wrap around certain players. But we lost. We should be 3-0 right now. We should be 3-0. I'm sorry. But what I'm looking at is a team that's afraid to use their weapons, can't score in the red zone, and last but not least, their play calling is so boring and so bland that most of our plays get shut down before they start. So we're expecting young players, Harris, Mac Jones, Ramondre Stevenson, to make these big plays. They don't even barely have a year in the NFL. That's the expectation going on. We are not putting them in positions to win. And I think can't get right at 446 saying NFL Red Zone hates the Patriots. It's also
everyone hates the Patriots. We've dominated this league for 20 years.
No.
Everyone hates the Patriots.
No.
Welcome to New England.
Yeah, no. The red zone hates us, as in we can't score there. Everything stems off the fact that we can't make points happen. So defenses are being a lot more lax. They're going to send the whole team because they know one thing. If we pressure Mac, it's going to go our way.
Well, that's because Josh McDaniels puckers up tighter than a tick's ass when they get in the red zone.
My God.
It is, JD, it's infuriating, right? They'll have a great drive. Like they'll have a great drive, but as soon as they cross the 25, it just stalls. Something happens and it just stalls.
I wonder what that is. I mean, maybe he really was crushed by the Tom Brady's insane red zone accuracy, and I don't know, because Mac is an accurate guy. He can make the throws. So I don't know why you would. Like, why don't you just call the same plays? Like, just call the same type of plays in the red zone like that you would call if you had Gronk. Like, and see if these guys can do it. What's up?
Take a look at Cool Genuine Phil at 447. 3 and out multiple times is not going to cut it to start a game. Like, it was just like with Justin Fields. When the play calling got boring, they got shut down.
Yeah.
For us, you can't go 3 and out because you're tiring out your defense. You're setting yourself behind the ball right from the beginning.
So, right. Let's transition over now to the defensive side of the football. Okay.
Thank you. Yep.
So let's transition over to the defensive side of the ball, where I know the score was 20. I know they put up 28 points, and I know the score looked ugly, but the defense carried for 3.5 quarters in this game.
Thank you.
They carried. They did it just like the Bears, JD. This game was eerily similar to what Chicago had.
Be right back, guys.
Eerily similar. The Patriots defense carried this team through halfway through the third quarter. They did everything they possibly could. They had nothing left at the end. Just like Chicago's D, they were just gassed at the end of it. They had nothing left, and they just couldn't hold. They just couldn't hold it. They couldn't hold it.
And when your team isn't capitalizing in the red zone, it's demoralizing. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like you do all this work on defense to shut them down, and you expect your offense to go out there and put up some points. And if they don't, then eventually, I'm not saying you take it less seriously, but like you definitely get demoralized, and that affects your gameplay, I would say. Then down the stretch, you lose the game, and I think Ross said they were just tired, or no, you said they were just tired at the end of the game.
They were just gassed at the end.
That's what happens.
They were just gassed.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what's going to happen. So it's tough.
The second, I will say this too. The second, like the end of the second quarter and the whole third quarter, they owned the Saints. The Saints could do anything, right?
Yeah, and, go ahead.
And they just they like the levees just broke, man. They could only hold for so long.
Yeah, and again, it was capitalizing on certain things. Like we would get turnovers, we would cause punts to happen, and we could never capitalize, not once. Look at Matthew Judon, 2.5 sacks. Dietrich Weiss Jr., half a sack. And then the unknown stars of the show, and I know people are not going to listen, but it's fine. Everyone wants to dislike Chase Winovich. But here's the thing. When you have a guy that can get into the backfield and just screw up plays, you don't see it on the stat sheets. You know what I'm saying? You don't see that. You don't see him coming off the edge and forcing a play instead of going off tackle to go off guard or go around the end. there was a lot of reasons that this defense did well, and there's going to be a lot of unsung heroes that people are not going to look at. But our defense held up for most of the game. The offense is the one that completely let down the defense at this point.
And I feel like that's a reoccurring theme too. The D I think has finally figured some stuff out. The offense has got to be better to help them.
Yep. And this is another interesting stat. When you look at the most amount of tackles, okay? So, you got good gotcha, you have Dietrich Weiss. That goes for about 16 tackles. But the majority of tackles happened in the backfield. What we're looking at here is I'm looking at corners, safeties, and everyone else making that final stop. Not the line, not the linebackers. Most of the tackles came from the secondary. So that means they're making up to the second level with passes and rushing all the time. It's very interesting because I'm looking at this. 1, 2, over, let's just say 18 tackles were made in the secondary. Not good. It's not good.
So that means they're getting to the second level a lot. Probably 50% of the time they're into the second level of the defense, and that's not good.
But here's the thing: we still contain them. Most of these touchdowns were scored off of turnovers.
Yeah, the pick six from the defense.
Yep, and
Winston
then another
couldn't figure it out.
Yep, and then what happened was we put ourselves in a losing position. We won. Again, this is just looking from this defense. They held up. They weren't amazing. They weren't getting they had 3 sacks for the game. Not amazing, but they held. That's all you can expect from a defense going up against a team that is that explosive, that's weak against the run. You know what I'm saying? They had Kamara. Kamara is a solid player. And they could not. They held him in check as much as we possibly could. The offense let down the defense in that game.
Now, one of my initial notes for the Patriots defense, one of my initial notes going into this game was we have got to make the Saints one-dimensional to win this game. We have got to make them one-dimensional. We have to pick either one or the other. What are we going to stop? We have to make them one-dimensional. And judging from just prior knowledge of Jameis Winston, I assume they would try and stop the run and just live and die on Winston's ability to try and beat them through the air. But Ross, they played that bend don't break defense, but at the same time, when you get their defense spots them 7 points because of the pick six. And then when you add in they just seem to play that bend don't break all game, and it was that I don't know. It was bend don't break, but they broke a bunch. I don't know. It was incredibly frustrating because at times it seemed like the Saints would move the football up and down the field with relative ease and no resistance whatsoever.
Yeah, again, I want to add on to yours, but JD, what's your thoughts on what we've been talking about, by the way?
I would just say that they are. I'm just watching it over and over. They are just running, and they the Saints they switch up their flow a lot. That's what I noticed about the Saints. They seem to switch it up, which is very good. Sean Payton's quite a coach. And I also just one thing that I could add about Mac Jones. I don't think either of those interceptions were really his fault. Both of the receivers could have gotten to that position. They could have laid out for those balls. So I don't put those interceptions on Mac at all. And every time he has an open receiver, he hits it. So that's another really positive thing. You ask him to do little things. If they're not open, you're trying to fit into space. Sometimes it's hard, but the receivers aren't impressive enough for me. But as far as the defense goes, it's hard to defend a Sean Payton run offense when it's he's dynamic.
Done it well for a long time.
Also, Winston is pretty damn good. he gets a lot of flack for all the interceptions he threw with the Bucks.
Yep.
But he also threw 5,200 yards that year, so he has some talent.
You know what I respect about Winston, and it showed. You know what I respect about Winston, probably one of the most things I give him a lot of credit for. The kid's got a short memory. He's a gunslinger, and he's got a short memory. He'll go throw a pick, and then on the next drive, he'll try and make that same. He'll try and throw that same throw. Because that's what they called,
Little Favre in him.
He's a gunslinger, which is like, you got to give him some respect there because you got to have a short memory to play quarterback in the league.
I think you can win a Super Bowl with Winston. I'm just saying. I think you can.
So to add on to your point, number one, when we start talking about stats and who did their job and whatnot, let's take a look at this. Jameis Winston, gunslinger, as you said. Only made 21 attempts on the day to throw the football. He only had 13 completions. And yardage-wise, only 128 yards with 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
But see, that's the kicker, Ross. The 2 touchdowns is the kicker. 128 yards, but he got 2 touchdowns out of it.
Yeah, you don't need him. He's not like uber talented. Like he's not gonna just dissect your defense and stuff. I get that, but he is talented enough of a down the field thrower, and he can make enough plays that like you could win with that guy. He's not like he reminds me of Jay Cutler a little bit, but he's a little bit different. I don't know. He's just different.
Yeah, and also the other perspective here is people going into the game were expecting the defense to get picks. You can't expect the defense to get interceptions. What you do expect from an offense is to get points. So the fact is that people are blaming the defense for not getting more interceptions during a game. It just shows how basic some of the Pats Nation or even other fan bases are. When you look at this, they had 0 interceptions. Like they contained Jameis Winston and Alvin Kamara. And like Alvin Kamara, only 3.7 yards per carry. You don't see that often. He only had 24 carries.
True. That's a really good point. That it really was. I mean, the defense. If the defense had more points to work with, maybe it would have been 21. You know what I mean? You never know what would have happened. So I agree. You got to put some points on the board.
No doubt. I have one final question for you guys, Ross, before we kind of wrap up the Pats defense.
Yep.
Where in the hell was Donta Hightower in the last 2 weeks? Where the hell was he? You know what? I got a new nickname for Donta Hightower. And if he's listening to this broadcast, prove me wrong, guy. Prove me wrong. Your new nickname's going to be Harry Houdini because you disappeared.
He gone.
Yeah. Okay.
He gone. Like, seriously, where has he been for being such a cornerstone of this defense? Where has he been since the regular season started? Where he at? Somebody find him for me because I don't know where the hell he's at.
Gotta page him.
He only had 1 tackle on the day. No hurries that I saw.
He's a starting middle linebacker.
He manages that defense. I didn't see him. Again, he did not show up on my radar. I mean, if they're not showing up on your radar and they're one of your star players, what's going on?
It's a big deal. It really is. That matters.
That's like Khalil Mack making 1 tackle in a game. A singular play in a game. That's it. And that's all you hear from him. That's like players like that mean something like that, mean that much to a franchise. Like,
gotta make some plays.
You gotta like if you're supposedly cornerstone of the defense and a captain, you gotta you have to do things to help the team win in big moments. And it just seems like I haven't seen him at all in the last 2 games.
Yeah, well, I don't get the context. Agree exactly with the context. Can't get right. At 501 and 502, Donta Hightower looks washed. You can't just take a whole year off and come back the same. Again, while I don't think he's necessarily washed, I think he absolutely is beyond rusty.
He looks very, very slow. Slow to react to the football.
Yeah.
Just slow to react.
But Can't Get It Right has a good point. It's just he looks rusty, he looks slow, and sometimes, dare I say, looks lost on the football field. You know what I'm saying?
Took a year off and enjoyed his money.
And here's the thing. I have the utmost respect for Hightower for what he's done in the past. But right now, I'm not seeing anything that he should be a captain or a straight leader of this team other than morale. Because from what I'm seeing, I don't notice him on the field. I don't notice, was Hightower there? I just, that's a big problem. That's a big problem.
Yeah.
No doubt.
So,
and by the way, Bill sent a message in. We are giving Mac Jones a break on this, Bill Tortolet. The only problem being, buddy, is that the offensive line was not there that day to support him. It just wasn't there. He had guys coming at him at all times. We don't blame Mac Jones. We blame the game plan by McDaniels and that O-line.
Those two turnovers, too, those receivers, they could have, honestly, they really could have got those.
Receivers are not coming back. Receivers are not coming back.
Before we get into our next topic, did y'all see Justin Tucker's 66-yard field goal to beat the Lions?
Yes.
That was stupid.
It was like 4th and 19 for Detroit. All they had to do was stop them on 4th and 19 and win the game. And the Lions, they gave up the first down, and they got Tucker within what they thought was field goal range, and he doinks one off the crossbar, and it lands behind it good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say something about that really quick. The Ravens, dude, they could be the team of destiny this year. They've lost, it feels like 15 guys to IR or whatever, to injuries. And the last 2 weeks, they've won in fantastic fashion. And the other thing I want to say about that kick, man, what I love about Justin Tucker, dude, Justin Tucker was he knew he was going to make that. He knew, bro. He literally get out there. You could see the swag in his step. He's just like, I'm about to kick the fuck out of this thing.
He just walked up and said, I'm about to kick the ever-living shit out of this ball.
He knew.
66 yards. Just doink right off the crossbar, and then it landed behind it and good. The reaction from Lions fans must have been how do you they are finding new and hilarious ways to lose football games. New and hilarious ways to lose football games. I'm sorry if you're a Lions fan, but damn, that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that wasn't a topic. I just that was just a crazy ending to a game. Detroit should have won that game. 4th and 19, and you give up the first down, dude.
I'm saying,
dude,
team of destiny, man.
That what's his Dan Campbell deserves a sack whack for that. How do you? How do you do that? How
Lamar
do you
Jackson
do that?
Dude, Lamar Jackson. He gets a lot of crap because he does mess up these. He makes these crappy throws sometimes. Sometimes these throws that he makes look bad. But then for every one of those throws, he'll have 2 or 3 amazing runs that you're just like, all right. You can have some of these crappy throws. So, it is what it is.
I just thought that was just the ending. That was so apropos for the Lions the Lions snatched defeat out of the jaws of victory.
Yep.
Lions always seem to lose.
Yeah, and then I know this is a conversation. This is going to be a good lead-in. Can't Get Right at 5:06 when we want to talk about Mac Jones and our tinfoil hat theory about the knee brace. Just keep that chat in mind when we hit that subject, Bobby, because we have our tinfoil hat theory on that.
So, why don't we just run it? Well, you know what? We'll run on that before, because the rest of this stuff is kind of headed away from the Patriots and just general.
Okay, general. Yep.
So let's talk about Ross. So let's talk about the Jones knee brace.
Yep. Bring up Can't Get Right from 506, and this is actually
how about the knee brace
perfect segue
and the matchup next week? You want to do that?
Yeah.
So
what matchup? Oh my God.
The Patriots or the Bucks? Yeah.
Yeah.
So matchup.
So Mac Jones got frustrated about how he was playing, and I believe the third quarter, right, Ross?
Mm-hmm.
Was it the end of the third? He got pissed at the end of the third quarter and ripped his knee brace off. Took it off. Took it right off and was like, the hell with this.
Mm-hmm. You want me to start? You want me to start on this one? Okay. So here's my problem. Since we played the Giants, okay, since we had that preseason game and he got rolled up on, he's been wearing a knee brace for support reasons. The problem is ever since that game, Mac Jones hasn't been stepping into throws. We're not seeing the laser-like throws from the preseason that we've seen day in and day out. So his mobility absolutely is down. I will not disagree on that. But also the fact being is when he did run the ball, and this is the funny part, he rushed for more yards than our running backs, which is an interesting stat category. I'm not saying it's impressive, but that's how porous the O-line was with him. And that's why he was our leading rusher during the game. So mobility, yes, he's not going to be a quick guy, especially with that knee brace on. But me and Bobby have talked in the back a lot about the reason they've done these bland play calls and safe this, safe that, is because they're so worried about Mac Jones's knee that they've been trying to bubble him. And you can't do that. You can't. Because now he wasn't slinging the ball when he needed to, and he was definitely not stepping into throws.
JD, he physically took the knee brace and ripped it off. Like ripped it off and threw it aside and was like, no more of this.
He's competitive. And you know
what that was?
It might hurt.
That was
it's probably worth it. Was worth it.
That was I don't give a shit about this. Whatever pain I got, we're gonna try and win this damn game. That's what that was.
That was a very good thing to see if you're a Patriots fan, in my opinion, because that means he doesn't. Yeah, exactly. He doesn't care about pain. It's not. He's not going to put pain over the victory. Basically, he'll do whatever he possibly can, and that's always good to see. But I kind of Bill in the chat says, I want your guys' opinion on how Mac Jones will be versus Tom Brady. I just want to touch on that quick. I think, and I'm sure you. What was it?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead,
JD.
I think, and I'm sure you know this, that okay. So I don't know if you guys saw Tom's face after they lost the Rams. He was pissed. Tom was
not happy. He was sitting on the sidelines just stewing in it.
So I'm sure right now as we speak, him and his receivers are probably like their gloves are probably sweaty. You know, they've been working all day. They've been at it. They've been practicing. They've been hitting repetitions. I'm sure the defense is going to he's yelling at them to be watching film. Tom Brady's going to be going into Foxborough with a vengeance. He's not going to come in there with, that's a place where he's going to have a statue. Very, very, he should, if he doesn't already, if they don't already have one planned, they should have one planned soon. And my opinion is that Mac Jones it's going to be a tough day. It's going to be a very tough day for the Patriots. And unfortunately, I think it's going to be a 1-3. For you guys.
I'd like to piggyback off of that little take from JD. So you basically just took this little campfire that was Brady's motivation coming into Foxborough and took a gallon of fucking gasoline and just dumped it on top of it with him losing to the Rams, because now he doesn't have the perfect season and he's already pissed off at Belichick. He's coming in here to drop 50 points on this team.
Yes.
And if Bill and the Pats aren't ready for that and aren't the Patriots need to get up for this game. They need to play up. They need to play.
I'm watching every down.
Mistake-free football has to be played to beat the Buccaneers. They don't have a prayer if they come in, if the Pats come out of that tunnel and they are flat, Brady is going to make them pay.
I don't think they have a prayer.
Yep. For me to tackle onto your point, the only hope I have for this game is that we keep it competitive. That's my only hope. Let's be honest. The Buccaneers are a full team. They have chemistry, they have leadership, and they know who they have an identity. Our Patriots, on the other hand, let's be honest, to preseason and the first 3 games, we still don't have an identity as an offense. All right, let's make that really simple right now. We don't have an identity. We don't know who our stars are. Our red zone percentage is just abysmal. Again, we're going up against a team that is very talented, has an identity, and can make points happen in the most, like, one play, it could be a touchdown. We don't have that dynamicism. So what I'm going to tell fans is, let's use this as a point to give Mac Jones the best experience he can against a very good team and make this a learning experience, because this is not a game we're set up to win. We're not there. My hope is the defense does what it's supposed to do. Force Brady to throw into tight windows, harass him, and make this game competitive. Because at this point, if they stop the run, just like we saw from the Saints, it's going to be a bad ball game. We have to. Oh, go ahead.
So I'm gonna piggyback off of that, Ross.
Yep.
My take on that would be the whole competitive thing. I 1000% agree with. If the Patriots lose this game by 13, I'm not going to be upset. 10 or 13 points, because that's a competitive game with that high-powered Bucs offense. That's a competitive game. I want to see the Patriots move the football on the Bucs defense, and I mean move the football purposely and score. If that's going to be a good little measuring stick to how good or how bad this team really is.
Yep, and the points to beating the Bucs. So we have a game plan. We know what it takes to beat the Buccaneers. The Cowboys showed it, and definitely the LA Rams showed it. At the end of the day, if we can keep Tom Brady, 1, off the field, 2, force him to make bad throws into the flats or into areas with high coverage, our secondary is good enough to make plays. But if we give Tom Brady free reign of the field, we don't cover the middle of the field, and we can't stop the run, it's going to be that type of game. We cannot allow him to get momentum going and get comfortable back there.
No, I agree. I agree.
That's all, that's the only thing you can do.
Have to put. Everybody knows when, like all of Pat's Nation knows that Brady does not like to be rushed directly up the middle. Between the gaps in the set, the right and left guard. You put pressure up the middle and you put guys at his feet. That is what makes him the most uncomfortable. And that's a challenge. The Patriots have got, like I said, they have got to get up for this game, and they have got to play they have got to play mistake-free football. And this whole playing these games where they're flagged 7, 8, 9 like 8 times, that you can't give Brady 80 yards, 60 to 80 yards for free. You can't. Yep. You just can't.
Again, just everyone out there, let's be honest. Our team is in a rebuild. We don't want to talk about it. We wanted to believe at the beginning of the season this was going to be a team that was going to be able to get us to the playoffs. And based on the game plan and the injuries and everything else we've gone through, this is probably going to be a 7-10 team. Let's be honest. I don't want to kick anyone. I don't want to kick anyone while they're down. But we're going up against a team that is a full football team. We are not a full football team. And if McDaniels can't create a game plan that puts us in an advantage and a chance to win, it doesn't matter how good our defense is because it only takes one play for those Buccaneers to put points on the board. We do not have a deep threat that we can score a one down and get a touchdown. We don't have that guy. They have three different guys that could take it to the house.
I agree, and I think that Tom Brady will probably not sleep for more than like 2 or 3 hours at a time from here until the Patriots game. I don't think that at all. That I think he's going to be just obsessed. I think he wants this game more than any Super Bowl victory. I think he wants this victory right here.
He's gonna turn into Psycho Tom. He's gonna turn into Psycho Tom.
I think he is. I think this is gonna be a 5-touchdown game.
And before we move on, Bill Torlet asked me a question directly. Ross, read my comment. The last comment he had for me, Ross, how do you think Jones will do versus Brady coming back to Foxborough? Now, the problem is we don't know. We have no faith in Josh McDaniels to make a game plan to help us win. So what I see out of Mac Jones, if we played like we played against the Saints, Mac Jones is going to be under duress the whole time. Maybe a touchdown, maybe two. Because, again, the Buccaneers secondary is not what I'm afraid of here. They're not what I'm afraid of. Their front guys and their middle and their linebacking core is what scares me for Mac Jones. He could have a very bad day. If this O-line is as porous as it was against the Saints, we're looking at probably 4 different sacks and 10 hurries. And that's at minimum if this O-line plays like it did before. There are so many things that are wrong before we can even get to Mac Jones. Game plan and offensive line. If we don't have either of those coming up into this game, Bill, we can't even discuss how Mac Jones is going to play because everything is not set up for him to win.
So can I so that's an interesting segue since we're talking about the Patriots being home, right? I read an interesting article the other day, and what it basically said was home field advantage in the NFL doesn't exist anymore. It compared the numbers and the records for the last 2 straight seasons, right? And let me get it. Hold on, guys. The last 2 seasons in a row, it's the first time in history where the home team is under 500 in both seasons. Home teams have finished under 500 in 2 seasons. Does that mean the home field advantage is dead?
Not yet, because I would wait a little bit longer, because the reason why I would say is we haven't, for instance, I think last year there wasn't as many people in the stands. And, that has a lot to do with the play calling. That has a lot to do with being able to hear audibles and stuff like that. But it does mean something. Something is everything. Everything is nothing. But it definitely means something. It means it's less important, I think, than it used to be. Give it a year, though. Give it another year or so.
Yeah. Oh, let's get the AJ Show comment up here. Let's. Again, AJ Show. Yes, the Bucs are most likely going to win. You guys have a full, complete team, while we have essentially a preseason team with no identity. Again, it's like you kicking the kid with glasses on the field right now. We're just not there. Again, this is a rebuild year. You guys are probably going to at least hang up 13 as a lead on us. But the thing is, what I want to see from Mac Jones and the defense is to keep this a competitive game and use this as a learning experience going into 2022. Because based on their game plans and how they're playing, we're looking at a non-playoff team for this season. Sorry about that, guys.
No, you're fine. I was going to say, can we put his next comment up there really quick? Feel so bad for Justin Fields.
Yep.
I just want to touch on, just for like 90 seconds, I want to touch on, I think that next week, since we're previewing, I can kind of slice this or whatever, but I think next week is a good chance for Justin Fields to get an opportunity to just more time in the freaking pocket, man. And hopefully Nagy can learn from his mistakes and call a better game. So that's all I wanted to say. That's all.
No doubt.
That's all we want. We want our offensive coordinators to call better games. When we start seeing high school plays in the NFL, it starts getting really annoying really quick.
It's home field advantage dead, though.
Ross, I ask you the same question. Is the home field advantage dead?
I don't think it is. We're coming out of a season where COVID happened. Like last season, there was, at least in Massachusetts, there was like next to no fans in the stands. Number one. Number two, coming back right now, it's again, until we start seeing more butts in seats, we're not going to start seeing these outrageous games where they can't hear the field or things like that. Unless you're a team that puts in crowd noise, and I'm not going to say most of the teams are guilty of this at times, but at the end of the day,
the Rams.
Yes. But at the end of the day, I think home field advantage is helpful, but not necessarily going to tip the scales of whether there's going to be a W or not.
It's not vital anymore.
Yeah, I think people like it, and it sells newspapers. But at the end of the day, on-field play is more important than any kind of home field or away advantage, in my opinion.
I think game plan, and like you said, on-field play execution, that matters like 10 times more in football than home field. I think in basketball, energy, like people say, yeah, let's go, that helps them a little bit more. Maybe baseball too, but you're right. I think it's a lot less important in football.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Again, at the college level, it's massive, but it's like NFL level. It's just, it can really help a game at times, but it's not going to be. If good play happens, you can shut up a crowd really easily. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in college too. In the NFL, they're all professionals. They've been through it for years, and they've heard years and years of yelling, like most of them, like except for I guess Trey Lance. But in college, they're kids. They need encouragement. So whenever they're booed and told, "Oh, you suck" and stuff, it actually affects them worse.
Well, I'll use an example from last night. Me and Bobby went to the Red Sox-Yankees game. Okay, there was a point in which in Fenway Park, the Yankees fans were louder than Red Sox fans. Think of that. Think of that disgrace.
That's tough.
And when we were
that's
leaving,
a Red Sox. That's a Red Sox and Yankees game. The Sox fans in years past wouldn't even let Yankees fans buy tickets. Never mind.
What do you attribute that to?
The quality of play on the quality of play on the field. They've played like garbage since the All-Star break. The quality of play has driven, I think, a lot of fans away from going to go see them.
Okay. When you put in a pitcher that has lost us more games than he's won, and you put him into a pivotal game at the end, and you're shocked 4 runs were scored on him, I don't know what to say anymore, because either that's bad management, and when the fans see this, whether it be a football game, baseball game, and you see things that make your head scratch over and over again, you're not going to be excited to watch the game. You are not going to be excited for the next play because they're not going to make decisions that's in the best interest of the football club. Am I correct, Bobby, or baseball club?
No, absolutely.
I have no faith in upper management of the Red Sox, and I have no faith in Josh McDaniels' game plans up to this point. He's shown me nothing.
Hopefully, well, not next week. Next week is going to be tough.
AJHL, we're not making the playoffs. We're not. We have to win every game to make the playoffs, and the pitching is not there. The Red Sox will not make the playoffs.
I think the Patriots will beat the Jets again, and I think the Patriots will beat the Dolphins next time. But I mean, I don't know. It's going to be a tough season for both the Pats and the Bears.
So let's stay with the NFL, guys. I have a question. I have another the next topic for y'all, and I think it's an interesting one because it's definitely being talked about because of the taunting rules and just kind of like the bad play calling. The bad officiating in general. So the NFL's officiating this year has been awful. It's been terrible. They're starting to. The NFL officials are starting to affect games now, not just with the taunting calls, but with phantom pass interferences, or they don't like the perfect example of is the offensive pass interference that was in the Dallas and Bucks game that they came back the next morning and said, yeah, we missed it. Like it's affecting ball games now, and it's not good. And it's been going on for probably 3 seasons now. What do you have anything to say about that there, JD?
Yes. So I'll start with, I have 2 things to say about it. The first thing I would say about the call, or about about refs, the rules, all of the on the field calls. I'll talk about taunting in a second, but all the on the field calls, I would say this: we have too much technology, too many cameras, and too many people involved, too much money on the line for you to get this wrong. And there's like I said, there's too many cameras and too many people involved for you not to be able to do it efficiently. Let me tell you what I would do. I'd say if there's any challenge, add more challenges. Give everyone like 5 challenges a game, because there's a lot of bad calls these days. If there's a challenge on the field, give them literally 30 seconds so you don't waste that much time. Send it to the booth upstairs, have them look at it. That's your decision, and go with it. End of discussion. Because all this on the field question, like where they go and they talk with each other, and you're the one guy with the mic on and stuff, like say, oh, let's just say it's this. It's like, you guys look like a bunch of clowns out there. Like just go to the tape, have like a arbitrary judge just say it's this or this, and then that's it. Okay, then you have like a godlike ref figure. Like, all right, what's he say? All right, call the arbitrating ref. All right, call him. All right, he's done.
And you could keep that ref on site too. No more call. No, you could keep him at the game on site instead of sending it to New York.
Give him like 40. Give him every camera that there is available. Period. And just like one guy. That's it. I don't know why they don't have that. It's just it's so simple to me. It's such a simple explanation. Give him 30 seconds to look at it. Give him he has 30 seconds to make a decision, and then that's it. And all the refs have to just shut up. All this congregating on the field, it makes it look like the game's fixed. It really does. And I know a lot of it's just like you're trying to make it look fair, basically. But by making it look anything, you're making it look, just use the technology. That's all I'm going to say. What do you guys think about the technology first before we go any further before that?
Well, Bobby said he wants robots on the field anyways.
Why not?
I said I want robot umpires in baseball.
Oh, just baseball. Okay.
And then you should like the owner, the managers of the team should be able to fight the robot like Rock'em Sock'em robots, and if you beat the robot, you get the call.
Yep.
NFL officiating, let's be honest, has been a joke over the last 4 years. From being overprotective of quarterbacks to taunting calls that is more recently, and just the PI conversation in a whole. The problem is that if you're going to call it fair, then start calling guys on push-offs as pass interference. The amount of times that I see defensive pass interference, but guys like Gronkowski, even the tight end from the Kansas City Chiefs, okay?
Sure.
Travis Kelce.
Happens a lot.
You see the push-offs all the time. You can't expect a corner to cover those guys when they're getting like, oh, he didn't fully extend his arm, but he doesn't need to. If he gets just like half of his elbow covered, he's got an easy catch on the side. I tell people all day, every day, you got to judge the play for what it is. And if both guys are hand fighting, don't make the call. But if you see a guy like a tight end literally boxing out corners, safeties, and shoving them out of the way, make that call too. It's just, you see it all day. They're not making the calls. And it's only when games are on the line that these calls seem to get called and affect games. Look at the Indianapolis first game. They got the first big taunting call of the game. change the entire outcome of that game. And there's many other examples that I'm not going to bring up, but the officiating has been bad. It's been inconsistent. And last but not least, how many times have they stopped football games to discuss in the middle of the field for 5 minutes what the call should have been?
I kind of like that idea that JD had. You give them a set time. You have 1 minute to make a decision.
That's it.
You have 1 minute. It goes to a. I like that a lot though. It goes to a booth up top where there's refs sitting, waiting for the feed. They get kind of like that like overrule, like they what they say goes. That's the call,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And they relay that down to the field, and that's your call. And it's literally 90 seconds. That's it. You between the challenge flag being thrown, the review, and the relay back down, and the call back on the field. 90 seconds. And you cut out these 10-minute conversations that they, like you were saying, you cut out the 10-minute conversations they have on the field, because it slows the game down, and you're already looking at a 3+ hour game as it is.
And it looks shady as hell sometimes. It really does. And then the guy got hot mic'd, and it was shady as hell when he got hot mic'd. It was like, all right, let's just say it was this. It's like, what do you mean you're just going to say it was that? Like, you have all these cameras around. What's wrong with you? But another thing I would say is to add on to Ross's point about the taunting calls. I agree with Ross, Tom Brady, and you, Bobby. That's the stupidest thing. We are grown men. This is football.
Hold on. Can I pause the show for 1 second?
Please.
Can I pause the show for 1 second? Hold
Mm-hmm.
on a sec. Hold on. I got to find it. Yes, they do. Fuck the Giants. All right. Now we can resume.
I'm just saying it's football. This is football. All right. I don't care if you're talking about their mama, their wife, their sister. You could say whatever the F you want on the field, man. It's football. Okay. This is the dirtiest, bloodiest, most aggressive sport ever. Now, I do agree that you shouldn't fight. I think, okay, there's if you start fighting people, okay, that's a penalty. If any unnecessary roughness, but you can verbally, you can say whatever you want. I don't get that at all. You can't taunt people. Are you kidding me? What is this? What are we? A bunch of kids? I get that when you're kids, but
you know what started this taunting rule thing, right? You know what started this? When homeboy gave the peace sign to the Chiefs receiver in the Super Bowl for being an idiot. Because that's what that's funny. The guy that gave the dude that got the peace sign thrown in his face for being an idiot probably was all butthurt and went and then they complained about it.
And that's just these are storylines. Whoa. Yeah. Anyway, these are storylines, man. These are storylines and shit, and it is just there's no excuse for trying to make this game any less fun. You know what I mean? Whenever they try to say,
I'm here for
dance,
taunting, dude. I'm here for all of it. I'm here for all.
I want to know what they're saying. I want to know all of it, dude. It's like a reality TV show for grown men. So if you take away the fun of it, you guys can't talk to each other. Are you kidding me?
I want to hear the hot mic conversation between the trash talking. I want to hear that. I'm here for that.
Yeah, half of the fun of have you ever watched I don't want to get too off topic, but the MMA, they have all those TV shows, reality shows about the MMA. Half of the fun is them talking crap to each other and then beating the tar out of each other. So that's kind of, I don't know, you can't take that away.
Yeah.
So anyway,
well, they're taking the passion out of the game, which irritates the hell out of me. And then they're taking, and not only that, they're using that as a weapon. I'm not going to say completely that they're purposely affecting games, but the end result is that they're affecting football games. No joke. No joke at all.
Sorry, I was muted.
It's gotten. Exactly. You know what they really need, and this goes for MLB, NBA, NFL, all these professional, any of these leagues, any professional sports league. The referees for these leagues need a specific union. because that'll put them. That means that that means that is all they do for a profession. Because a lot of these referees, that's not their real job. You know what I mean? That's not their job. They do that on the side. They need to make it a paid profession. Train these guys specifically. This is what a PI is. This is offensive PI. This is defensive PI. This is offensive holding. You can do this on offense without calling an offensive holding. You can do this on defense without calling a defensive holding. And you need to just run them through the ringer and train them. But the whole reason the NFL won't do that is because it's money. That's going to cost them millions.
Which is stupid because they make billions every year. So you gotta make the game fair.
There's a lot of things about the NFL that boggle my mind, and one of the biggest things is when you see taunting, and let's be honest, it's generally guys just getting excited. It rarely ever gets to a point where guys are in each other's faces, causing fights and stuff like that. They use the most severe example of taunting to rule out any sort of celebration. But you can go into the end zone and have your whole team do the rowboat.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I'm sorry.
That's so stupid.
That idiot out of New York who is just, we don't want to see this in football. It's like, no, wait, we want to see this. The fans who buy jerseys, the fans that pay for games, and just drop ludicrous amounts of money during the season. We want to see this. Your old man take is not what the fan base at large wants to see.
Exactly,
we want to see competitive games. We want to see passion, and we want to see players going all out.
And that is,
I'm here. I'm here for the end zone celebrations. Remember the insane end zone celebrations we used to get
Ocho Cinco.
Before they like cut down on that. Give me that. Give me the end zone celebrations, the flips into the end zone, the like taunting. Give me all that back.
The river dance.
I want all of that back.
No, I agree. Doing the, what do you call it? Heart compressions or whatever to the
Dude,
ball.
all that. The bowling, the bowling. Give me all those touchdown celebrations, all the taunting, all of it back.
All these like really old people and sensitive people in the media and stuff like that, man, you just need to get a life because this game is supposed to be fun. Like, I don't know what happened, but like when we were growing up, the game was about having fun and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You never crossed the line, but at the same time, you did jump around and have fun with your friends, man. Like that, it's a game. Like, let's not take it too seriously.
No, absolutely.
And when you get that taunting call and it back breaks the game, there's a severe problem.
See, I think it's going to start affecting, like it already is. Like it's affecting games. You know what I mean?
A couple of great questions in the chat.
That week one loss for the Colts is a clear, concise example on why.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Why it's a bunch of bullshit.
Yep. I'm sorry.
So I have two more topics there, gentlemen.
I'm ready for them. We got a great question.
I want to save one. I want to save one for. That's a nice house there, Ross.
Thank you.
Slick. It's slick.
And it's one of the free backgrounds, by the way.
So my next one, I'm gonna save. I think the funnest topic to talk about for the last one because I think we're gonna all kind of go in on this a little bit. But next up, Sam Darnold is rebuilding and reviving his freaking career in Carolina. There, he looks like a different quarterback, man. He looks confident. He's throwing darts. It's accurate. They look really good. Could they make the playoffs?
You want to start, Ross?
I'll definitely start. So I never thought that Sam Darnold was ever the problem in New York. He was a player expected to make up for all their failings, as they try to do every season. We see the same thing with Zach right now over there. If there's no front line, you have no chance. And all you're doing is steamrolling this kid's confidence for the attempt at a offense that might be high-powered. When he finally got to an organization where he had optimal talent with a good enough offensive line, just look at the stats from his last game. He's a competent quarterback who can move on his legs and can make plays happen. But New York, Cincinnati, and certain other teams in the NFL will not invest in a front line. And that's why you'll always be in a position where your quarterback is struggling.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It is scary, though, that McCaffrey got hurt last week. He's having some hamstring issues, so that's definitely a big deal. We'll see how Darnold plays without McCaffrey. But at the same time, no, I definitely think this is big for him. I think that just giving him a functional team. Carolina is always functional. They're always at least like a couple players away from the playoffs, if not in the playoffs. Like they're always kind of like in the mix. And that's just something that, that's credit to their ownership group. And obviously everyone they hire. But I think that trade was smart. Teddy Bridgewater is a good quarterback. There's a lot of people like, oh man, just trying to rail off stats and how efficient he was with Carolina and how he should have kept his job and everything. I get that. I do. But here's the thing. He's old. He's had not old, but he's my age. He's 28. He's had serious knee surgery. So I would rather invest in a 23-year-old like Sam Darnold, who has probably a much, much higher ceiling, could he maybe even be a star in this league, to run with my young running back, Christian McCaffrey. So now I have a running back and a quarterback, both around the same age, growing together in the same offense. You couldn't pass that up. And I think Carolina did a very good job this offseason. Now they just got to build. They got a couple good receivers too. Sam Darnold loves DJ Moore. They got to build that defense a little bit up. Could they make the playoffs? They could. It'd be a wild card though. I don't think they, with the Saints and the Bucks, I don't give them a high. Maybe give them like a 20% chance to make the playoffs.
Yep. I go a little bit higher. I go like a solid 30% if things keep working out for them. Because again, in the running back core, again, you're gonna have guys that are not as talented, but again, next man up is always kind of the mentality. My biggest problem is they got a lot of tough teams that they're gonna have to go up against. They do not have an easy schedule like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm sorry. Again, they might have it in a couple of years once they gain more chemistry with a new quarterback and showing that Sam Darnold is that playmaker. I just don't see it happening this season, but I would keep an eye on them for the next 2 seasons because they're going to do some damage. I definitely believe that.
They're talented and they're very young, so I like that.
Let's send McDaniels to McDonald's. That's excellent.
Yep. Again, I think a lot of the problems that we stem from with these young quarterbacks is not good game plans to support them. And on some situations, no O-line to keep them protected. And then last but not least, lack of creativity on the ball or creativity to be able to audible to take advantage of bad defensive schemes. There was so many times that I see either from the Jets, from the Bears, from the Patriots, where I see they have a completely stacked box. So let's keep showing the run, but let's get an outlet guy to go outside for a quick pass. Let a ball rush in. Let him do that. We'll kill him for 4 or 5 yards. Call the audible at the line. Have we seen a single audible at the line in either of those young quarterbacks?
Not really.
No.
In Matt Nagy, well, there's no excuse either because you have and McDaniels. You got the headset. I know they can barely hear you, especially when it's loud, but you got the headset. Just tell them, hey, switch to a pass. Doesn't that, give them a passing package on their, on their wrist. They're like, all right, just switch to a pass. You choose, kid. Just give them 3 passes. Choose which one you like. Doesn't matter. Switch to a pass. If they had that, just that alone, I agree with you. They would have, just give them a little bit of a chance to breathe out there, man. Because I feel like they're trying to fit him in. There's a lot of throws like that. That one throw with Fields where he was the guy was designed to, I think it was Robinson, he was designed to go up and then go over. That takes 3 or 4 seconds to develop. If you can't guard, if you can't block, then you're screwed. Like, so anyway, that's all I wanted to say about it. You're right about that.
So here's the fun topic of the afternoon. We're Ross and JD. Let's talk about Tom Brady Sr. and Alex Guerrero's comments heading into the Bucks and the Pats game.
Okay, so I'd like to comment first, not to cut you off, JD, but I got to leave for an appointment.
Ross has been waiting for this forever.
Go for it. Go for it, bro.
Ross, hold on. So for those of you who don't know, Tom Brady Sr. and Alex Guerrero both made comments towards the Brady return to Foxborough, and they weren't too good. They weren't too good.
Do you want me to read them off verbatim quick?
Yeah, I gotta run.
Okay,
so let's
go for it.
Yeah.
So Ross, are you going to read them? You're going to read them off verbatim?
Well, again, I'm going to give my opinion, but let's take a look.
Or take a few. Yeah, take a few. So just so the listening audience can get a feel of what we're talking about.
So he said, Tommy, This is what Tom Brady Sr. said. He said, Tommy is extraordinarily appreciative of everything that happened during his New England career. And he's more than happy that he's moved on because it was pretty obvious that the Patriot regime felt it was time for him to move on. Brady Sr. told Tom Curran, and frankly, it may have well been perfect for Belichick to move on from him. On the other hand, I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are pretty happy that the decision they made in Foxborough. They didn't want to afford him and didn't want to afford him or didn't want to keep him when his last contract came up.
Okay. So let me attack a couple of points here, okay?
Okay. Go ahead, Ross. The floor is yours.
Firstly, the one time Tom Brady comes and asks for a pay raise is when we have no money. So item number one. Number two, the one time he goes after us for players and playmakers on the offense, we have no money. Next part, he came off a season where he lost a Super Bowl to a pick six. Okay, let's cover that before he left. Okay, so yes, he wanted more money. We wanted to keep him, but we couldn't do it. We can't make magic money come out of nowhere. How many guys would we have to cut to make sure Tom Brady was happy? Please tell me, because we would have lost half of our defense. Am I correct?
That's true. No, you're probably right about that.
We would have had to dump a lot of salaries and a lot of talent to get that 50 million.
Yep.
No, I know it is, but it would have we would have probably had to dump a lot of people to get it down to like where it would need to be.
Yeah, and off camera, me and Bobby have talked about it. Okay, this was something in Tom Brady's mind for a couple of years. Okay, these kind of deals do not happen overnight. Brady was ready to leave right after that Philly Super Bowl. No one can tell me otherwise. There was a plan in motion, and albeit he's got a couple of years left in the league. What did he want to do? Wait 2 years during a rebuild, or go to a stacked team where all they really needed was a quarterback? I'll give credit to Tom Brady as being one of the greatest of all time, but I'm not going to give him credit for going to a stacked team that was only waiting for a quarterback to take the reins.
He also brought Gronk and AB for nothing. So that helps.
Don't bring up Gronk, because Gronk shafted us in the worst way possible. We're not going to go into details on the Gronk situation, but if anyone wants to go and read about Gronkowski and how he left the Patriots, again,
I know that.
I will clap. I will cheer for Brady at the end of the game, but Gronk gets nothing from me. Gronk will not get a thing from me.
I think Gronk. The major reason why I think a lot of Pats Nation has some bad feelings towards Gronkowski is the way he left. The way he left, he made it sound like he was leaving for good, and just he was done. You know, he made it sound like his body had shut down on him and he was done. And I think in reality, what he was really doing is just going to take that year off, take the year off, recover a little bit, and then You know, when his body felt good, like when his body felt good enough, and he knew it would, he went back with Brett. Like,
I had no
think,
issue with that.
Yeah. Again.
But he also didn't. But the major part about it is he left the Pats hanging for a long time about if he was gonna retire or not. Like if he knew he was gonna retire, he should have just told him, "Yeah, I'm retiring. I'm done."
They owe him like $50 million.
Okay,
they owe him a lot of money.
Yes, but for that $50 million, we would have lost half of our special teams and half of our defense to keep Tom Brady and leave him with weapons. And let's put it this way: to leave him with weapons that were not good enough to get him through a Eagles Super Bowl. So we would have had a worse defense and a worse offense to pay.
Threw 500 yards, and Belichick couldn't stop Nick Foles.
500 yards and a pick six for a touchdown.
The pick six,
500 yards.
The pick six is what ultimately got him. It's funny though. It's funny that one mistake. It's funny that
Nick Foles.
I know. But see, that's funny though. It's literally that one mistake.
True.
That one mistake. That pick six was the game-changing moment. You know what I mean? Like that pick six is what ultimately got him.
Moment,
yeah. And guys, I have to run, but I'm gonna make my last point really quick.
Sure.
Before I go. Alex Guerrero sold concussion water. So one, his opinion is invalid in the NFL and in any areas. If you're that type of charlatan, I don't want to hear from you. And the fact that ESPN and all these other news outlets has ran with it is the reason why I don't watch network sports anymore. They're all a bunch of headline hunters, and that's it. Next part, Tom Brady Sr. riding the
headline hunters and snake oil salesmen.
I can't argue with the media.
I will never respect anything that comes out of Alex Guerrero, and I'll never respect anything out of TB12 camp because TB12 is not the same quarterback as Tom Brady. The TB12 that we know now is a diva. Okay, number one, he's earned that right. I'm not even going to deny that. But at the end of the day, he could have came out and said these things himself, but instead he sends out Guerrero.
That's true.
He sends out Dad to say these things that he couldn't say to our faces. And Tom Brady Sr., I'm sorry, but you have other than you had the opportunity to be the seed for Tom Brady, you have no experience in football. You have no freaking clue what you're talking about. You were not in those meetings. You were not with Bill Belichick when he had conversations with Tom Brady. And last but not least, Bill Belichick has always coached Tom Brady in a way to make him as potent as possible. And what does Brady do? He plays the best with a chip on his shoulder. He has always been that way. Why are you going to compliment a guy over and over again to make him play worse? If you consistently keep a chip on that shoulder, Tom Brady has been absolutely great.
Well, the best example of him putting a chip on the shoulder is he drafted Garoppolo like right in Brady's face, and it lit that fire again. He won a Super Bowl again because he was so mad that they drafted Garoppolo.
And the last thing I will say, okay, I'm sorry guys, but the last thing I will say is that Tom Brady, at the end of the day, the things that made him angry at Belichick also made him a better player in the short term and the long term. Now,
that's true.
My last opinion on this whole Bill Belichick, Tom Brady saga, let's be honest, that ESPN has been moist. Completely moist.
Everybody is.
Coaches do not compare to players. The reason that Bill Belichick has a lesser extent to the overall success of the Patriots is because at the end of the day, players play. Okay?
True.
Players make the calls on the field. Players make the job happen. Bill Belichick's job is only there to put them in a chance to succeed.
To develop Belichick's game planning and so it's always been a combination of the two, because Belichick's game planning and putting development of the game plan and how to attack teams and then he just lets Tom's maniacal attitude about winning just take over, like his attitude about winning and his knowledge of the game. Belichick gave him a general idea of how he wants to attack things, and it was a combination of the two. And I mean, with the two of them together were just crazy. What they were able to accomplish together was nuts.
Can I just say that Tom Brady Sr. didn't really say anything that bad? All he said was that Tom Brady felt vindication from winning a Super Bowl without Bill Belichick. That's all he really said.
But you have to look at Tom Brady Sr.'s body of comments throughout the last few years. So again,
there was some spite there. I get it.
Yeah, no, there's that. I think that's JD. I think you just hit it on the head. There's a lot of spite behind Tom Brady Sr. when it comes to talking about the Patriots situation.
Anyone who throws shade at his son, which I love him for that. He's a good father.
Again,
He's just screw you. They're crap. I love that.
But his knowledge on the sport of football.
Oh, that's true.
And how things are managed from the background is Bill Belichick did whatever he had to do to keep Tom Brady competitive. And after 20 years, that's going to push them apart. That was not going to make them closer. It's a coach's job to not be the good guy.
I don't know if Bill's the same coach without Tom, though. I just don't know if he is. I compare it to Greg Popovich and Tim Duncan.
Well, how are you going to have the same thing? Tom Brady was an on-field coach. Let's be honest.
He was
he was a general on the field. The guy you put he was a coach in pads.
I think that if Belichick would have begged Tom Brady to stay, sign a cheap deal, I think he would have. I do.
Tom Brady was done with taking deals. This Tampa Bay move.
That's probably true.
JD, I think no matter.
I think Tom was done with them.
I think no matter how much begging he did, he wanted the recognition, the money that he wanted
given him that recognition before, maybe years prior. Maybe you're right. There's something that could have been done that summer. Yeah. But what about the 3 or 4 summers before that? You know what I mean?
Well, you know what happened to that? We brought in all the players he wanted. Did Antonio Brown do well for us?
For a little bit, for 2 games, and then he got investigated for beating up a woman, I guess, or something.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. If we gave Tom Brady all that he wanted, instead of this being a 2-season rebuild, it would have been a 4 because we were out of money, we were out of talent. When you'd have 7
Super Bowls instead of 6.
One of our leading pass guys and receivers for Tom Brady going into that season was Gunnar Olszewski.
Okay, maybe you wouldn't have had 7 Super Bowls. Okay, you're right.
Let's be frank. If we gave Tom Brady what he wanted, we would have no defense, and
you're right.
Special teams would have been in tatters.
I just think that Brady is a great player, and I think that Belichick. I think that for a while Belichick's I've made you and stuff, and I think that Belichick is eating those words now.
No, Bill Belichick, at the end of the day, everyone wants to put this personality on Bill Belichick. He doesn't have one. He's an old man that loves football, and he doesn't care about the press. He doesn't care about Tom Brady's feelings. He doesn't care. What he wants to do is win football games. And the thing is, when you're that type of person, they're not going to like you. Tom Brady for 20 years had to deal with that. And don't get me wrong, this is not an organization set up for individuals. This is an organization built on team play. If we gave everything up for Tom Brady, we would have gone against our complete identity as a football club.
But what if he does play till 50 and wins 2 more Super Bowls?
Then good for him. Here's the thing. I don't mind the fact he's on another team playing. What I have a problem with is the fact that at the end of the day, he is bashing the coach that gave him his start over Bledsoe, who was paid $100 million.
But you're right. That's true. But the next year, you're right.
He went against everyone and put Tom in there.
That's true.
The thing is, no matter what your feelings are, Bill Belichick will only do what's best for the football club in general. not one player, not one individual. How many high-priced talent have we let walk because it would have been detrimental for the team as a whole? And Tom Brady got to that point. Guys, I got to go. I love you all. Thank you for all the great comments, guys. Thank you for listening to my angry old man ranting. And Patriots fans, keep your head up. This is going to be a tough season, but let's hope Mac Jones gets some great experience and McDaniels learns how to call a game.
Thanks for hanging out, Ross.
See you later, Ross. Now
sorry I ranted too hard.
Get off my show, you old man.
Bye, buddy. And thank you, JD.
See you later, bud. Take it easy.
Good discussion, bro. It was a good time. The last thing I would want to say, actually, we have a lot of last thing I want to say about just touching on that is that I think that Guerrero's comments,
listen, dude, let's just be clear. They're all looking for vengeance. They all want to prove. They all want to come into Foxborough and beat the ever-living brakes off of Bill Bell. They're all coming in with a chip. Everyone, Brady Sr., Brady, Guerrero, they're all coming in with a chip on their shoulder, looking to stomp this team out.
There is something to Guerrero's method, okay? Like you guys called him, you joked around that he's a snake oil salesman. I think it's less that he's a snake oil salesman. It's that he's selling something that everyone really kind of already knows. It's like massage therapy is really important, basically, and he's selling basically like a brand of massage therapy. Basically, he's like, all right, check out this massage therapy. It's really good, and if you use these bands, it's great. And they're trying to front and pretend that that's like the reason Tom Brady
doing like inventive and all this.
Yeah, well, in some ways it is, because it's like a little bit more aggressive, but at the same time, it's more just like Tom Brady's a really amazing athlete, and his, that's really, I mean, that's what
he's just a freak. So. He's just a freak athlete.
Yeah,
with how he handles his body, how he handles his routine, all of that. I 1000% agree.
Right. So I think it's not necessarily that he's a snake oil salesman, but I agree that he's not necessarily what he says he is. He's not like a doctor or anything like that. I totally am with you on that. 100%.
But let's be honest. Yeah. I mean, the guy looks like he's like 34, right. 36 years old.
So there's got to be something to what they're saying. It's not just completely ridiculous.
Like almost 10 years younger than he really is. The dude is in ridiculous shape.
Looks amazing. Both of them. I mean, honestly, both of them do. Guerrero is old. Looks like he's relatively young, and Brady looks amazing for his age. So, yeah, that's the thing.
But see, Brady understands what they're doing. Brady gets it, though. He understands. If I physically and mentally take care of myself, I can play for a long time.
Yes. And in the mental game, that just comes with that comes naturally to him already. Like he plays chess, not checkers with everybody. And the physical game is what he's really worried about, because his body is deteriorating no matter what he wants to do about it. It's just just life. Like everyone, after like 31, your body just starts to slowly break down. That's literally a fact of life. So he's fighting father time, and he's winning so far. What's wrong with your Bears? We talked about that a lot, Phil, earlier in the show, but I will clip it up for you, my guy. Make sure to if you haven't already, subscribe to I-90 Sports Talk.
Yeah, put that JD, put that link in there. So before we end the show, guys, JD clips all of the segments that we do up on his channel. So if you want to just listen to a specific segment, all you got to do is go over to his channel, and it's all snipped up. The whole show, you can listen. Yeah, the whole show is clipped up into all the different segments that we do.
That one will be later tonight, I believe, or if not, early in the morning. That one will be the first one we do. So, no doubt.
This was a good show, man. This was a good one. We hit on a lot of stuff. It's going to be an interesting week of football. The Brady Patriot matchup is going to be really something to watch. The progression of Justin Fields, to see whether or not Matt Nagy can, get him some protection.
Move him around a little bit. Make the receivers move, make the line move, make the defense move, because Fields can keep up with it. He can throw on the run. He's very accurate on the run. I agree. I'm looking forward to this week, because it's actually a team we can beat, and even if we don't beat the Lions, we will. Even if we don't beat the Lions, there's a strong chance that we'll compete with them. So I'm excited to see that. I just want to quickly touch on, because I told Bill I answer his question once we got to it, but we've been killing this podcast today. He said Chiefs are going to lose a couple more games this year because of. Well, he said, "What's going on with the Chiefs?" He asked. He said,
"Their two main cornerbacks are out. That's the big one."
The defense is kind of messing up a little bit, and the receivers are not focused down the field. So that's what I would say. Mahomes is playing as good as he's ever played. So Mahomes it's nothing to do with Mahomes. It's just
let's be honest.
He's got to figure it out.
That kid plays his ass off every week.
Every week, he's the best player in the league. I don't think there's a question. I think he's the best player, at least offensively.
There just seems like in the Chiefs games, the two losses that they've had, it just seems like in like big stretches of the game, like 8 to 10 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
He gets no help, like legit no help. Guys dropping footballs that hit him
disappear.
You know what I mean? Like guys dropping footballs that hit him right in the numbers. They bounce off their hands and it's picked. It just seems like he's not getting any help at times in these games.
And that's really tough too, because he has so many talented guys who are paid a lot. This week is probably going to be a week of practicing the fundamentals, because they're just losing their focus. I think they're forgetting what they need to do to win. But,
absolutely. But this was a good show, man. Thanks again, guys, for showing up. Appreciate all you guys coming out and hanging out. Episode 10 in the books. Banging them out, man.
Banging them out, man. 10 episodes already. Hyped.
And I feel like we cover a lot of material in a very in a limited time frame. So I think we do a good job of that.
We do. It's been a great podcast, and I can't wait to upload it. Check us out on iHeartRadio and soon on Apple Podcast if it's not up already. I got to double check that. It might have already been up, but check us out. Also,
for those of you guys who are listening along on the playback, that's iHeartRadio. We're up on iHeartRadio and Apple Podcast.
Soon Apple Podcast, yeah.
And if you want to participate in the live show and hang out in the chat, we are live here on YouTube. Beantown Breakdown is the channel, and then I-90 Sports Talk. If you want to listen to a specific segment or clip of the show, that is where you can find that. It is clipped up, edited, and my guy over there puts all that together. So big thank you for that, buddy. Much appreciated for that,
guy. Thank you, and also I would say if you're listening to the playback right now and you are a Boston fan and for some reason you haven't already subscribed and hit the notification bell to Beantown Breakdown, you have some serious problems and you better be doing that. You better join the members gang because this guy right here is the best in the business when it comes to play-by-play. Thanks as always, my man, for having me on your channel and for doing this podcast with me. It's always an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely, guys. So once again, iHeartRadio and Apple Podcast, and then the live show. If you want to come hang out with me and my guy for the live show and hang out in the chat, participate in the chat, and we are live on YouTube. So Beantown Breakdown, the channel. Thank you again, guys, for the continued support. Screw the Yankees, and we will see you guys next time. Bear down, JJ.
Bear down. We're going to eat the Lions. Let's go.
Go Pats as well, and we will see you guys next time. Thanks again, and we out of here. Deuces.